Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, Ottawa has found its Austin Watson replacement. We're going to let you know everything you need to know about Zack MacEwen.
And the Sens wrap up Dev Camp, and we'll let you know who won the 2023 Jonathan Pitre Award.
The most prestigious award within the organization. That's all coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. Your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 837 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains. Please like and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. We're also free and available on YouTube. Today is Friday, July 7th, and Pilsy, I've never seen so much animosity online on a league minimum contract. Ottawa has added forward Zack MacEwen, a 26-year-old PEI native who fans in the area might remember from a brief stint with the Gatineau Olympique. He comes from the LA Kings. What can Sens fans expect from MacEwen?
Well, I mean, he's quite literally going to be Austin Watson's replacement in my mind. Like, I've got him put in pen on the fourth line on the right wing where Watson was the last 3 seasons. And I just think that it was inevitable that the Sens were going to find a guy like this. And for everyone that's outraged about a 3-year deal at literally league minimum.
You cannot pay him less.
You can't, yeah, it's not an option. And ironically, Ross, this is quite a pay cut for Zack MacEwen. He was awarded, I think it was $950 in arbitration last year. So significant pay cut, but he gets the term for coming down in dollar amount. But the thing with Zack MacEwen is they need a guy like him, like Austin Watson, because if you don't have a guy like this, Brady Tkachuk is going to end up taking way too many fights, and he's going to end up fighting absolute scrubs. I can't even, Ross, I had in my mind a list of guys that he fought that he shouldn't have, and they're such scrubs, I've forgotten their names. That's where it's at.
His last 3 fights last year, Mark Stahl, Miles Wood, and Jared Tenorti. Like, we don't need that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So for people that are outraged about that, I'll pose this question. Do you want Zack MacEwen fighting those guys, or do you want Brady fighting those guys? So that's exactly the reason MacEwen was brought in here. And look, I'll say it again, like, hockey is more than just the advanced analytics. Like, you need guys out there that are going to make your teammates feel bigger and not feel scared out there. And hey, if there's a problem, you got a guy that DJ Smith can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, Zack, clean this up over here. We're sick of these guys giving it to Timmy or bugging Brady trying to get a fight for him. Just take care of him quickly.
Zack MacEwen last year played 56 games, split between Philly and Los Angeles. Funny enough, he was traded for the most hated player in the NHL. Brendan Lemieux went the other way in that one. But with both organizations, had a career-high 4 goals, a career-high 6 assists, a career-high 10 points. I say a little tongue-in-cheek, although those are facts. Had 66 penalty minutes. Within those, 7 were fights. Sens fans might remember that he's fought them 5 times. He's fought Brady Tkachuk twice, both in the COVID-shortened season while he was with the Vancouver Canucks. He fought Mark Borowiecki as a rookie in the league. He fought Austin Watson as well. So with Zack MacEwen, you're getting an enforcer. You're getting a guy who is there for one reason only, the intimidation factor. And Dylan Hetherington was the other Senator that he fought more recently. But 3 years, yeah, it was a little eye-popping. There's no question about that. It's like, hey, did you have to do that? Or could it be a situation where every year it's like, okay, Scott Sabrin, yeah, sure, come back for one more. Come back for one more. I know those were 2-way contracts, and like you said, he had established himself enough in the NHL that the arbitrator gave him $950, and now he's back here taking $775. But with Zack MacEwen, Pilsy, it comes down to one thing for me. You know who he definitely got a reference letter from? Claude Giroux, who was his captain in Philly. And if Claude Giroux wants him there, then I got to be fine with it.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I think that, look, the 3 years maybe is a bit much, but you get him at the minimum contract, so I think that's good. It's unfortunate, Ross, that he's not really a penalty killer. I think that's one area where at least Austin Watson, he could chip in on the PK. So you're really going to see a limited role for MacEwen here. And Watson, say what you want about him, but he was able to put the puck in the net a decent amount of times when he had the opportunity, especially when he played against the Detroit Red Wings, Michigan native. So you love to see that. But Ross, I went through Zack MacEwen's hockey fights. Very similar to Austin Watson in the win percentage category of fights. I think I must have watched. What's that?
Did he fight Austin Watson ever?
Yeah, he did. But that fight was more of a draw than anything, which makes sense. But I probably watched 10 or 12 of MacEwen's fights. He lost almost every one of them, except he did beat Giovanni Smith pretty decent. He fought him twice. He beat him clean the one fight, and then the second fight, he just jumped him on the face-off, so it wasn't really a fair fight. But what I will say, Ross, at least with MacEwen, he goes in there with energy. Like, he's throwing bombs. Like, he's like a Conor McGregor type. Like, he's trying to hit you with that perfect punch right away and wrap things up. Like, if it gets going, he's probably not going to last. And I don't know what it is, Ross, but every single fight I saw, his bucket's coming off. Every single one. Like, the other guy, the bucket's on, but MacEwen, the hair is flying and the bucket's off almost immediately. So I don't know, maybe he just has like a loose clip there that he has special, but hey, it's good. Honestly, I'll drive home the main point again, Ross. It's good that there's someone that can take care of this so that Brady doesn't have to. That's the main thing you need to look at here.
And we've talked about this on the show last week. Like, the Atlantic Division is just getting bigger and tough.
Yes.
Even like it started last trade deadline. Tanner Jeannot comes in to Tampa. You've got Boston bringing back Milan Lucic. You have Toronto adding Ryan Reeves. Montreal, not scared. Detroit, okay, sounds good. But yeah, each team's got a heavy, and I think that it's a good option to have. I just hope we're not in a situation where he plays as many games as Austin Watson did, which was 75 last year and in the high 60s the year before. So I'm looking at this as a guy who I want to see play spot starts in the NHL and be kind of the 13th forward would be my hope. A Dylan Gambrell who doesn't kill penalties. But you mentioned penalty kills. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little more versatility for a guy like MacEwen, a guy who you're adding on a 3-year term. But I look at the Senators right now. Norris, Stützle both kill penalties. Claude Giroux kills penalties. Shane Pinto kills penalties. Mathieu Joseph kills penalties. I think there's a lot of guys who you can have in the lineup on any given night who are going to take that role on. Kastla, Kelly, both those guys kill penalties as well. So I don't think that they're short or looking for enough guys who can play a man down. So from that, and Ridley Gregg, if he's in the lineup, he should be a guy that can be out there as well. So I'm not worried from that standpoint. Maybe a few of the guys I mentioned, you'd like to save them more for offensive opportunities on the power play. But man, Josh Norris was an unreal penalty killer at the end of last year. And Timmy. Like, he jumped out to me last year as a guy who I want to see him do that in kind of that Mitch Marner role where he's out there on the penalty kill trying to create offense at times as well. So I think that that's a huge value to have. And yeah, I'm going to draw we put on Twitter, and because of the Austin Watson number at Sens Central, we set it at 60.5. It's 80% of the vote is under. I think some of that might be hope, but I'm putting it at 41. I'm putting it at half the games. I hope that he plays in just below half, but again, if he's getting the reference from Claude Giroux, who I'm sure was made aware of this before the signing went down. David Bell said for AHL signings, they're getting references from guys he played with. You don't think they called the guy who was captain of Zack MacEwen in Philly? I'm sure they did. And funny enough, doing some reading on MacEwen, sounds like the Senators were interested in him as a CHL overage free agent. The list was Toronto, Tampa, Ottawa, and Vancouver, where he ended up signing. So the guy just wants to play in Canada. Hey, a lot of those teams there, and I'm always excited to get another East Coast flavor. Ottawa's got to lead the league in East Coasters right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not surprising, Ross. A tough East Coaster, that sounds like the Ottawa Senators type of guy. And yeah, we were talking about this off air, and you said no chance he plays all these games. I got him at 40 games. Everyone on Twitter saying that. Ross, I'll give them the same response I gave you. Have you met DJ Smith? He likes having a guy like this in his lineup. We reference Austin Watson's previous games played under DJ Smith. Like, the question was how many games will he play, not how many games should he play. So you know what? I'm hitting the over on this one, and that's where I voted on Twitter. I really think that DJ is going to have him around more often than not.
Time will tell. The Ottawa Senators are just over a month and a half away from NHL training camp. List of Maritimers with the Senators organization. This is thanks to Hockey Maritime, who keeps track of all these things.
Nice.
Drake Batherson, Zack MacEwen, Matthew Highmore, Josh Curry. Can I say Igor Sokolov as well?
Yeah. Honorary East Coaster.
Yeah, and then in the AHL, Brendan Saulnier, who just re-signed AHL, and Ryan McKinnon as well. So, hey, they've got that East Coast flavor. Of course, Ryan Bonus, a good East Coast boy himself. So, hey, that's exciting for the organization to have a good character guy. And Pierre Dorion describes him as a player with strong character who adds increased physicality to our lineup. He's a hard-nosed, competitive player who's a tenacious forechecker and who demonstrates a routine willingness to go to the hard areas. What does that mean for the rest of the lineup and the salary cap? We'll get to that next. What happens next? A Shane Pinto contract as an RFA, or the Alex DeBrincat trade, and Senators development camp is wrapped up with the 3-on-3 tournament. There's a special guest in attendance. We'll get to that next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, and we love our friends over at FanDuel. It's the best sportsbook app on the market. Don't believe me? Try it yourself. Take a look at any other options, and you will consistently be coming back to FanDuel because the app is simple, safe, secure, easy to use, and they have so many fun different ways that you can get in on the action and sports. Right now, it's summer, it's baseball season, so take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. So, math guy, $20, you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the MLB.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the GLEBE Central Pub. We love our friends at the GLEBE Central Pub. You can find them in the heart of the Glebe. GLEBE Central Pub is your neighborhood pub with great food, great people, great drinks. They've got specials. They're on Instagram, GLEBE Central Pub, and where you can find all of their new events, new specials. Overflow Pilsner, $8.25. Beer of the day tomorrow, July 8th, 9 p.m. to midnight. Logan Brown. No, not that Logan Brown, although he is unrestricted free agent. Might be looking for a new gig. No, this one is signed, sealed, delivered. We'll be playing music at the Glebe Central Pub. That's live music every Saturday at the Glebe Central Pub. So go check it out for great vibes in the heart of the Glebe. I went there on my way to the Red Blacks game last Friday. Great place to get a little pre-gamer going or after the game. They're always there for you. Great soccer bar, too. If you want to go watch some footy in the morning, on a Saturday or Sunday, head over to the Glebe Central Pub. We love our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Go check them out, 779 Bank Street, and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. All right, Pillsy. Reminder to everyone, you can follow the show on Twitter at Sens Central, Instagram lockedon.senators, and subscribe on YouTube where all of our episodes are posted daily. Thank you to all the everydayers out there who make us your first listen. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate the Ottawa Senators for allowing us to come to development camp on Monday. The interviews with Pierre Dorion and David Bell have already been released. Some great stories in both of them, especially, I mean, David Bell, that guy's an all-time storyteller there. So next week, we will have Tyler Kleven on the show. Woo! Likely have another one, but we do have down the pipeline Tyler Boucher, Oscar Pedersen, Philip Nordberg, and Hoyt Stanley all coming up on Locked On Senators over the next couple of weeks. We're also going to touch base with Stephen Halliday. We'll get Mark Mathot back on and more, but we are awaiting something, anything, with Alex DeBrincat and Pilsy. Doing some quick math here, Zack MacEwen signs that one-way deal, and you immediately notice that now it's not if, it's when Alex DeBrincat will be traded. Crazy to think Zack MacEwen and Alex DeBrincat have anything in common.
Yeah. Well, really, Dorion's like, well, sorry, Alex, we can't keep you. We're trying to make room for Zack MacEwen here. Because at this point, the Ottawa Senators, after the MacEwen signing, only have $7.5 million in cap. I say only have $7.5 million in cap space. But the reason I say only is because Alex DeBrincat, even if the Sens are, for lack of a better word, successful in elected arbitration and get 15% off the qualifying offer, that will end up being more than $7.5 million. So I'm going to go out on a limb, Ross, and say he gone.
Yeah, I'd say so. But what happens first, Pilsy? What happens first? Do they take care of Alex DeBrincat? There's a great photo, shout out to Kevin Lee on Twitter, of because at the Sensplex, there's that little bird's nest, that little perch up there where they have all the management and everybody watching. And both Pierre Dorion and Ryan Bonus were standing next to each other, both of them on the phone. So hey, they're working. They're working.
They're just calling each other.
Right now, we have Zack MacEwen on the fourth line. Pilsy, I got to say, I don't like that fourth line.
I'm going to push back on you, Ross. I like that fourth line.
It's too much of the same thing. Like, I feel like someone who's like an up-and-coming skill player on there. Like one guy.
I think you're underselling Casty. I think Casty has an opportunity to provide some skill. And Kelly, definitely that was a down year for Parker Kelly. I think even he would admit as much. But look, I'm not too concerned about it, Ross, because you have so much of everything else on the other three lines. And again, it's just about having those guys know their role and allowing guys like Brady to not have to worry about doing that type of role. So I think as far as the fourth line goes, and the thing is too, Ross, the other lines are so good that I don't think we're going to see nights where Kelly, Kaslik, and MacEwen play over 8 minutes. Like, it's going to be a very limited role, and it's going to allow DJ Smith to roll the top three lines a little more smoothly. So I think that's a good fourth line, in my opinion. But I will agree. I think I'd like for them to get a 13th forward that is a little bit more of a skill guy that can kind of get in the mix here and there.
What's Tyler Ennis up to?
Tyler Ennis actually would be a perfect guy for that. Yeah, I'm down. Or hey, Derek Brassard, call Pierre when you're feeling better after your recovery from surgery.
Those are the types of players that I think I'd like them to target. And then maybe even that third line winger is where you kind of have an open competition in camp between Igor, between Yarventi, and a few other guys in that spot. Ridley Gregg, who I don't know why we forgot to mention him last week. We actually did like a 5-minute talk before we started recording about Ridley Gregg. And sure enough, then we didn't mention him on the show, so we sound like idiots. Shocker for us. All right, Pilsy, coming up next, before we'll tease the last segment, we'll talk about Dev Camp, but Michael Andlauer was in attendance. Pilsy, I think they're pulling the wool over our head here. Pierre Dorion looked us in the eye and said Michael Andlauer is not making decisions until he's in charge. Come on. This guy just spent almost $1 billion on a franchise. He's boots on the ground at development camp. He's making decisions. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing, Ross. When I asked Pierre that question, and he was like, okay, come on. He's not involved. Part of me was like, oh, yeah, that was kind of a dumb question by me. But then after, I was like, no, like, don't try to pull that on me. Like, sure. Yes, that is the political answer. The board is in charge. Michael Andlauer officially cannot kind of get his fingers on things here. But I think unofficially he's making guided suggestions. How about we call it that?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he was standing there with Pierre Dorion. The photos were coming out yesterday at the Senators 3-on-3 tournament. After that tournament, and we're waiting for the content, we got to find out who won this tournament. Remember, Stephen Halliday called it one of the biggest wins of his life last year when he came on. I was like, who won? He's like, we did. Come on, figure it out. So Halliday, again, such a beauty. Probably the biggest standout at development camp. Him, Tyler Boucher, Tyler Kleven. Coming up next, we'll get into to development camp a little bit more, and what happens next, Shane Pinto's contract or the Alex DeBrincat trade. That's next. You are listening to Locked On Senators. All right, you're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Shout out to the everydayers out there. Make us a part of your routine. Plenty of interviews coming throughout the summer. We are officially in interview season, but we're also in rumor season. We're also in tinfoil hat season. Pilsy, Alex DeBrincat and Eric Brandstrom are not listed on the Senators website. Is your tinfoil hat on, or is that just what would we call it? A technological error?
I mean, it's certainly something. Like, it's not nothing. Because I was quick, Ross, we were talking about this. I was quick to say, well, I don't think they would update things that quickly. But you said Zack MacEwen's on there, and that was a fresh signing. So
number 17, by the way.
For MacEwen?
Yeah.
I like that. 17's my number. So, all right, here we go.
Name a number 17 in Sens history.
Ridley Gregg.
Nate Thompson.
Nate Thompson. Nice.
Yeah, are we already done?
I'm done. I'm not a numbers guy, you know.
Ooh, I got another good one. Alex
Dzingel. Oh, did Dzingel wear 17?
No, 43. But then when he came back, did he wear 43 again? Most recently, before Ridley Gregg, it was Adam Gaudette. Now that I have it pulled up here, legends wore this number. Hey, if you're wearing number 17, you are here for 1 year and 1 year only. Eric Lacroix in 2001, Bill McCult in 2002, Philip Kovac in 2006, Denis Hamel in 2007. Hey, then Philip Kuba took it for 3 years. Then it's back to 1 year. David Legwand in 2015, Nate Thompson in 2018, Brian Gibbons in 2019, McCormick in 2019, Jonathan Davidson in 2020, Alex Galchenyuk 2021, Adam Gaudette 2022, Ridley Gregg 2023. So
that's hilarious.
Is real. Wait, but if he's wearing 17, he's just taking Ridley Gregg's number? Come on.
Damn.
That's cold.
Yeah, Ridley's going to have to buy him a new watch or something.
That's tough. Okay, so what happens next? Shane Pinto's contract or Alex DeBrincat being shipped out of Ottawa, which sounds like that's what they're working very hard on to figure out.
Ross, if you would have asked me this a week or two ago, I would have said very surely Alex DeBrincat trade will happen first. But now I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that Alex DeBrincat will not be signing here. Like there is no way that that's happening. So I think we're going to get a trade within a matter of days. I'd be shocked if we get to the end of next week and something's not hammered out here. I don't even think we're going to get the ARB elected date scheduled because this is going to be figured out before then. So my answer is Shane Pinto contract will be done first.
I really hope so. Wait, you just took a little corner turn there at the end. I thought you were going with DeBrincat.
Oh, I guess kind of the way I set that up does say that. I guess I'll word it this way, Ross. I'm not of the mind that Pinto's contract hinges on the DeBrincat trade. So what happens first? I still think they'll get Pinner done soon here. Like it's because they must have been in talks this whole time, and now that it's like for sure that the DeBrincat's gone, I think they'll just put pen to paper here. So yes, I will keep that answer. But yeah, I did throw a bit of a knuckleball at you there.
My theory here is that if Shane Pinto, if Alex DeBrincat is traded, I think they can probably go a couple more years with Pinto and maybe up the AAV a little bit.
Yep.
Now, just based on having your top two centers locked up for as long, 7 and 8 years respectively between Norris and Stützle, very good. I think 3 years is probably perfect for Pinto if that works.
Bridge deal?
Yeah.
We talking bridges?
We're talking bridges.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ross.
And I think that you can go a bit higher than $2 million with that, depending obviously what comes back. I still hope it's not just futures, but like a Kubalik, who I was talking to a Detroit Red Wings fan the other day, and they're saying like, hey, a bit one-dimensional, but that dimension is very, very good. He can put the puck in the back of the net. So $2.5 million on Kubalik's contract. If it is, the Detroit Red Wings that end up pulling the trigger for the trade. I just want them both to happen. I feel like getting this lineup set going into the home stretch of July and into August, just having the DeBrincat thing looming would just be so frustrating to me. I just hope. And by the way, happy 1-year anniversary for Alex DeBrincat being an Ottawa Senator.
Yeah, congrats, dude. He's so gone. And I really think it is going to happen in Detroit. Like I mentioned on a previous episode, I just think what's holding this up is Stevie Y and Jeff Jackson working out an extension.
All right. Well, time will tell with Alex DeBrincat. We will have everything for you, of course, right here on Locked On Senators. Pilsy, we've teased this long enough, but the Jonathan Pitre Award. Now, the Jonathan Pitre Award, if people aren't familiar, Jonathan Pitre, one of the more influential, I think is a good word to put. Inspirational, absolutely. Now, he passed away in 2018 at the age of 17. He was from Russell, Ontario, and he had a rare genetic mutation called recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. RDEB is probably the easier way for me to put it. Basically, it caused external and internal blistering across his body. Having a bath was like a 2-hour ordeal for Jonathan Pitre, and this guy just was able to bring out the fight and the will to live every single day. And he was a huge Sens fan. Just type in his name and the Ottawa Senators if you want to learn more about this very brave young man. And his mother as well was just so, like, you can't even imagine what they had to go through every single day. And the Senators, in honor of Jonathan Pitre, have named the hardest worker at Sens Dev Camp in his honor. Who was the recipient this year, Pilsy?
The 2023 Jonathan Pitre Award winner was Tyler Kleven. So that's what you want to be doing if you're Tyler Kleven right now. You got a taste of the NHL. You just finished college. We heard Dave Bell in yesterday's episode say, hey, he doesn't want to kind of label or typecast Kleven as being an AHL defenseman already, because he's working towards trying to make the team again here. So if you're Tyler Kleven, that's certainly a good step, having everyone kind of notice and validate that you were the hardest working player at Dev Camp. So attaboy Tyler, and he's a guy we're rooting for, and Ross, we've been in his corner ever since he's been drafted. So the K train is coming on the tracks. Choo-choo!
Against all odds too, right? With Tyler Kleven, where it's like everyone just thought there wasn't enough upside. You know what I have to say? Those upside? You. And when it comes to upside with Tyler Kleven, this guy brings it each and every day. And he just, like, he seems so sure of himself when we had him on an interview here next week. Like, he is a confident kid. And that's what almost makes me put my tinfoil hat on with the Eric Brandstrom thing, Pilsy. I wonder if the Senators saw how solid Kleven was at Dev Camp, asterisk, but also in the 7 games, 8 games he played last year. And they might be like, hey, we're going to need that spot at left side D to be a little more physical, a little more difficult to play against next season. I'm curious. And obviously Brandy took a huge step. Like, this is not Eric Brandstrom slander. This is Tyler Kleven impressing to the point where he might be knocking on the door, to the point like you might not be able to hold him out of the NHL. I hope at least that he comes into camp and just blows the doors off. But we asked him, when are we going to see that first K train hit across the trolley tracks? And I'm just confident in this kid, and that's some nice validation for him that one of the older guys at camp, he said he wanted to be a leader there. And, man, that's how you lead by example, is being the hardest working player on the ice.
Do you have the list of past winners up, Ross, or maybe you can pull that up? It'd be interesting just to take a look here.
Yeah, so
I know Parker Kelly and Brady Tkachuk have won it.
They actually shared it.
Okay, there we go.
But then they also, I believe Parker Kelly won it by himself the next time as well. Last year, it was Ridley Gregg.
Nice. Who
was the winner of that. And then Parker Kelly's a 2-time recipient of the Jonathan Pitre Award. Here we have the full list. So the young man passed away. And so they had this hardest working. It's been since named after him. He passed away in 2018. So we'll go. I mean, so the first winner then was Brady Tkachuk and Parker Kelly. I actually have the photo right here. Shout out to the Ottawa Senators and shout out to Twitter for just being so easy to navigate and you can just pull things up. So I want to show this because Tina Beaulieu, Jonathan Pitre's mother, is handing out the award here. And man, look how young Brady Tkachuk is there, Pilsy.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see like this means a lot. You can see Tina pretty emotional there as she's handing out the awards, and probably can't get over how young Brady looks, but obviously it's prestigious. And obviously that's the Senators say that in their message as much, but yeah, Parker Kelly is a 2-time winner of the Jonathan Pitre Award as well. So when it comes to what he brings to the table, work ethic is at the top. But before that, there's some other guys who were listed here, but won the award before it was officially named the Jonathan Pitre Award. I don't think it's going to surprise you, Pilsy, that the first 2 awards were won by Mark Borowiecki.
Nice.
Freddie Claesson won it in 2013.
Didn't Andreas Englund get it?
In 2017, yes.
Yep.
And Nick Paul in 2016.
Yeah, so, I mean, that definitely kind of goes to show, like, most of those players, you can tell have that kind of hard work ethic and have made nice careers for themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me are, I just think, I'll just say this for everyone that has been very outwardly against some of these contracts being signed by the Sens. It's going to be okay. Like we're talking about 1.1 million and 775K for guys that are either going to play on the bottom pair, be a 7th defenseman, or on the 4th line and be a 13th forward. Like we don't need to get that worked up about it.
I was going to say it's not that deep, but it is deep in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like they still have Tim Stützle will be playing 24 minutes a game. They still have their top 2 lines almost set. We'll see what happens with Alex DeBrincat, but I agree with you. Good point there, Pilsy, where it's just like, hey, these are the depth players that are interchangeable, and hey, if they don't play well, they might not be in the lineup, and if they are, then let's turn our attention to the head coach, who we've been on record as saying we wanted him back on a short leash. He says his coaching style will change to a certain extent.
Yep.
Proof's in the pudding. So we'll see going into next season, and there's going to be a spotlight on DJ Smith. Let's put it that way. Say what you want about the bottom pair, the bottom line, but this team is going to live or die by the top 6 and the top 4 on defense. So if you want to feel better, I know our guy Pesky Sickos just posted all 35 of Claude Giroux's goals yesterday on Twitter. So, hey, just scroll through that, and it'll be nice, feel good. And close your eyes while Travis Hamnick's blocking all those shots in the San Jose game before the goal, if you don't like that one. But no, in all seriousness, we appreciate everyone for making us your first listen each and every day. Have a great weekend. Next week, more interviews, more rumors, and hopefully the trigger will be pulled on a Alex DeBrincat trade 1 year after he joined the organization. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.